I do a lot of weaves, and of all the weaves that I do, it's nothing like a straight classic weave that looks like it's coming straight out the scalp, contouring the head, and going with the natural curvature of the head. So that's what I'm going to show you guys today. But before I get started, let me give you the top 3 reasons why weaves don't lay flat. The first one is the foundation is wrong. The second one is usually an excessive use of material, synthetic hair, netting, thread. All those things create bulk when they're used improperly or too much. The third reason is because of the way the wefts of hair are laid onto the foundation. So I'm going to give you guys a quick tutorial on how to avoid those things, what I do to create my flat straight weave. I took the liberty to go ahead and section this mannequin head out. Notice the curvatures. It's like a real horseshoe, not a U part. Now a U part is okay if that's your preference, but if you're trying to create a weave that looks like it's coming straight out the scalp, contouring the head and laying flat, you want to almost create a new hairline. So these little angles right here is going to really allow the hair to just kind of flow naturally forward or back. And I'm going to show you that and explain it more as we get into it. So this is my leave out. Alright, we ready to get into this braid foundation now. But before I start, I want you guys to see how much synthetic hair I'm going to use around this hairline. Just a pinch. I take the Kaneka line hair and I cut them down so that when I'm done with my braid in any area, there's not an excessive amount of synthetic hair hanging down. I'd rather add to this than add too much at one time. Also, although she doesn't need synthetic hair, I'm going to add it so that you can just see how I braid. I don't use a lot of tension. There isn't a lot of pulling. When I'm done with this braid, I'll literally be able to lift it up off the scalp. That's very important. The sewing of the wefts of hair onto the foundation, that's going to create enough tension. It's just not a designer braid style. It's just a foundation to support the next step, which is going to reinforce it. So alright, we are moving right along. So this is my first braid, or this was my first little mini braid, and then it connected into the next one. Okay, so that's one braid, and you see how we are creating a very contoured look. The rest of these braids here will go back. My other 2 braids are directly at the center and the top of the head. The center of this hairstyle might be a little off actually now that I'm looking at it, but you get the point. They are meeting in the center. Then there's this one. I didn't finish over here to connect it. Just wanted to show you guys this real quick. These 2 braids here are going to crisscross and go into the braids that come down from here. So they'll crisscross, they'll go into the braids going down. You have these 2 braids that will connect on this side and this side, and everything else will just go back. It's not really about how small, how big, even though you don't want to make them too small. You want them to be just a regular size braid. There doesn't have to be a lot of focus on that. And that happens a lot of times. My customers will say to me, well, can you make my braids really small? They think that that's going to give them the look that they want, but it has nothing to do with the braids being really small. It's more about the way they are laid down. So I'm going to finish this braid foundation, and then you'll see what that looks like. Okay, this girl is ready to get sewed up. This is my braid work, my braid foundation. I'm going to show you how I got those braids connected like that in a minute. But I just want you to notice they aren't very small. There's space in between the braids. The most important braids are these 4 that I mentioned earlier. They aren't perfect. None of those things are important or relevant. So what I did was, you know, we took that first one and we connected it to the one behind it. When I braided it down, and it was hanging like this, I took it and I looped it up and connected it to the braid that comes next. Hanging, I looped it up and connected to the braid. I did that on this side until I got to that center crisscross. Once I did that braid down, I let it hang. Then I went to the other side and I did the same thing. Braid it down, let it hang, connect it to the next braid, braid it down, let it hang, loop it up, and connect it to the next braid. Once I got to the center again, this last braid here, I connected this one, braided down a little bit further, and I connected that one and braided down to the end. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to sew this braid down, and that's it. That's all it is to the foundation. I can lift these braids off the scalp. That's very important. The type of thread that I use, and I highly recommend, is the nylon thread. It has extra support. Unlike the cotton thread that stretches and gives, the nylon thread lays flat. It doesn't give for the whole time. The only thing that may happen with the nylon thread is maybe it becomes unraveled. As long as the threads stay tied and you tie them off right, then it's going to stay flat and it's going to stay tight and firm the whole no more than 3.5 months that I recommend this weave to be in. So the next step, I'm going to sew a few rows, tell you what I did, finish her off, and show you the most important part, which is how the weave is laying, coming out of her scalp, looking like it's all hers. Another misconception is the leave out. People think you got to leave all this hair out around the perimeter for it to look natural. That is not the truth. So we'll find out in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. Had to pin my hair up. Next day, couldn't finish this project yesterday, but we're going to finish and bring it on home. As you can see, I sewed my braids up, or sewed that one braid up. It's nice and tight and firm, yet I can still lift these braids off the scalp. They are not too tight, and the weave that I'm getting ready to sew down is going to reinforce all of this, and it'll be nice and firm. I want you to also notice how those braids are really just outlining the whole perimeter of the head, hugging it nice and tight, contouring that. Right as soon as the braid is coming up off that scalp, I sew that first row basically like underneath the braid and very close to the scalp. More about my sewing technique I will demonstrate in another video that will show you how I lay all my tracks. But this video is basically to show you how I get it nice and flat and contouring the head. This first weft is very important, to lay it right up underneath that braid, because that's what's gonna allow you to pull it up even if there's no hair out, which, as I was saying earlier, is a big misconception. People think you have to leave hair out in order for it to look natural or be able to have a natural pull up or ponytail. You can't do a high bun or a high ponytail, but you still can get all those options. So I'm going to stop right here, lay a few of these down. But before I go any further, let me let you see this back. Very flat. Let's see if I can loosen this up. Very flat. Laying right at the nape of that neck. And she can literally pull this hair up when I'm done and you won't see anything. So I'm going to continue and I'll be back. Again, going with those curves and going with those angles. You see how this weft of hair is laying right underneath that braid, really allowing it to lay flat. And again, go with the shape of the head. Nice and flat, like it's coming out of the scalp. And if you guys remember that front part, that little bit of hair that was left out in the front, how it just gives you just enough coverage but still not having too much of a leave out, especially when you're trying to give the hairline a break. So now it's all down and everything is laying nicely and contouring the head. I'm going to show you the leave out so you can see, yes, she does have a full sewing. So this was our leave out. And now you can see again, nice and flat and contouring the head. Let me see if I can give a better view. There we go. Okay, so there it is, that flat weave. I hope you were able to pick up some of those tips. I'm going to make another video for you guys on exactly how I lay my wefts of hair down and see how the whole thing comes together. Thank you for joining. Check me out, hairweavesandextensionsmd.com, Facebook, hairweavesandextensionsmd.com, and YouTube channel, Hair Weaves by Lisa. See you guys next time.